is there anybody here for the first time that's never been here before? If you could unmute and just let us know you're here so we can welcome you. Who? Who's me?
Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Welcome. Where you dialing from?
Finally made it.
Yay.
From Massachusetts.
Oh, good.
Manchester.
Manchester, Massachusetts? Oh,
Yeah.
Manchester by the sea. Manchester by the sea? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Very nice. I'm north of Boston, too. But I'm closer to Boston.
Yeah.
I'm closer to Boston than you.
Yeah.
But, so welcome. We're glad you're here with us.
Thank you.
Yay.
Glad to be here.
Good. Anybody else new that's never been here before? That's it? Okay. Let's get rocking and rolling. If everybody could mute, that would be terrific.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Lulu's Way, Healthy Food, Healthy Life. My name is Nicole and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be your co-host this evening. To keep this meeting free from distraction, we ask that all in attendance please mute yourselves unless you are speaking. We also ask that you keep the video mode turned off if you are doing anything other than sitting and participating in this meeting so that we can minimize distraction. In this community, we gather to support, encourage, and inspire on the benefits of nutrition, weight loss, wellness, and the joy that comes from choosing to serve yourself well. We are not medically trained, nor do we have formal training in nutrition. We come together here for the sole purpose of providing support, sharing experiences, and promoting a healthy lifestyle. It may be wise to check with your healthcare professional with any dietary suggestions or advice you receive from this group discussion, particularly if you have health challenges. Individuals in this group may have different ideas on how to eat healthy. Just figure out what works best for you and do it your way. Our meeting format involves rotating through a series of important topics focusing on the needs and interests of our members. These topics include food preparation, meal ideas, motivation, traveling, socializing, challenges, non-scale victories, maintenance, and general Q&A. We will fully explore one topic before moving on to the next, continuing this rotation until the meeting concludes. The following week, we'll resume with the topic where we left off.
Wonderful. So, we left off with, what do we leave off with?
We left off with traveling.
Traveling. Oh, okay. So there's all kinds of traveling that we can do. And this food plan works on all kinds. The only kind of traveling that I would think that would be challenging would be international traveling, just because of the unfamiliar and just everything is different and different language and they drive on the different side of the road. I would be there. I'd just be like, where's the grocery store? You know what I mean? And I'm not going to say that it's impossible to do that, but I kind of think that it's something that I deter myself from because of my food plan. When I think about a cruise, like going on a cruise, I think that would definitely work because they have every kind of food and they cater to every kind of special dietary needs, everything. The only problem with cruises is that scales don't work. That's what I heard. You know, somebody that goes on the cruise and the scale, because of the motion, the scale can't calibrate and operate. So it would just be eyeballing it. So, but you know, I haven't been on a cruise since I've been on this food plan, and I'm fine not being on a cruise. But you know, I have flown, and you know, the way that I do it is I just think like, okay, I'm going from point A to point B. What meals do I need from point A to point B? Then when I get to point B, when am I going to get to the food that I need for the meals when I'm at point B? So if I know, like, I'm going to start my day going to the airport and I'm going to fly in somewhere and I'm going to be there at my destination by like 5 p.m., which is dinner time, the likelihood of me going there, having dinner, and going out grocery shopping and getting everything prepared is probably not likely. I'd probably go the next day. So what I would bring on the plane with me is I would bring breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast. That's what I would do. And the breakfast, I would assemble some kind of a breakfast so that it would, you know, I could just throw it in even in my suitcase. I don't have to carry it, but I would carry those first 3 meals with me, just so that I would have all my 3 meals for the day. And I've done it. It always gets flagged. It always gets flagged through the X-ray there, through security, because they just look and they're like, what the heck is this? You know, all this, like, these stacks of food. And they take everything out and they just say, well, you eat healthy, huh? That looks delicious, you know? And I'm like, yeah, I just got to take it with me, you know? And they just put it all back, and but every time it gets checked. And you just got to really be careful with any of your liquids, because you can't take more than 3 ounces of liquid in one container. So you can have 6 ounces of liquid, but it has to be 3 and 3. So if you were going to make like a soup, don't take that on a plane. You're going to have to throw it away. They're not going to let you take all that broth that's in one spot, in one container. And I just, you know, that's my carry-on. That's like the most important thing that I need, is all of that, you know. And then I'm certain to have it all figured out, how I'm going to get grocery shopping and stocked. And it might not be first thing in the morning. That's why I'm going to take the breakfast for the next morning too. I don't really think I need to explain how I do my food on the road, because I think many of you watch my videos and see what I do. It's just, I just have a kitchen and I have a fridge. I call it a fridge, but it's a cooler. It's my fridge, it's my kitchen, and I have absolutely everything I need. That was critical when I built this out. It was just like, it was what this was going to all be about, even if this was just like a whole kitchen and I slept in a tent, if that's what it had to be, you know. But, you know, I worked it out so that I have everything I need here, and I can really cook anything here, anything. And then I'm always just, you know, here I am, I'm on the move. I'm on the move all the time, but I'm moving around with these grocery stores all the time. So there's everything that I need, you know. And I have traveled with people, and so that's something different that, you know, if I'd like to hear your experiences with maybe traveling with people. I have traveled with people that are not on this food plan, and you know, I just said I traveled with a friend last winter, not this past winter, but the winter before. My very best friend came down to Florida, and you know, I said to her, I said, we can either do food separately, or if you want to do food together, I can make double of what I make, but you know what I make. She goes, oh my God, I would love to eat what you eat, you know. So that was our thing, that like I did all the cooking and I did all the shopping and all the deciding, and we took all the stuff, all the containers out of the fridge when we were going to put a meal together, and she would put her meal together and I would put mine together with all the containers of all the different cooked things. She loved it. So I was the cook and she was the cleaner-upper. So that was really good. So that worked out nice. Now, if I was with somebody that didn't want to follow the plan, what's the big deal? So we'll go grocery shopping. You get a cart and I get a cart. I'm going to get what I need. You get what you need. And okay, that can be your shelf. This can be my shelf. You know, in the fridge, we can just take our own shelves and just we don't have to make this about an eating vacation. If you like eating vacations, which a lot of people do, you probably don't want to go on vacation with me. You know, so if you're going on vacation with me, you're an idiot. If you want to be looking for somebody to go out for an ice cream with, you got the wrong chick, you know. So so it's just that solid, you know what I mean? That's just it. It's just about being solid. This is what I do, this is what I'm going to do wherever I go, and we're still going to have fun. We're still going to have fun, I promise you, you know. So so that's what I got on traveling. Nicole, what about you? Didn't you do some business travel, some with work? Was it you, or was it someone else?
Yep, I've done some business travel. Yep. So yeah, I think you know, the traveling that I've done on my very first trip doing this plan was before this group started, and I had reached out to Lulu, and I had gone to California to see my friends. It was the first time. It wasn't a week of running to all the restaurants and having her husband, who loves to cook, cook for all of us, because I was committed to my plan. And I didn't know how that would go. I thought it would go pretty well, but I thought it's really a big difference, almost every meal out to being, I'm going to get all my food and cook it here in your house. So anyway, the first time, I just wasn't quite sure how it would go, but it just was getting the jitters out. And the other thing about that was it was the first time I had flown on a plane and brought my own food. So I felt really.
Oh, it wasn't the first time you were on a plane.
Not the first.
I was
flight,
like, that was the first time you were on a plane. Oh, okay, the first time that you've traveled with food. Okay.
Yeah, when I brought my own food, and I felt so self-conscious and so worried about doing that. Like, people are going to look at me, and part of that, in retrospect, in hindsight, was really kind of like the shame of being overweight and eating in front of people, especially a large quantity of food, even if it's healthy food, because it's one thing to I had no problem in the past eating candy, in my bag, in the plane, candy, snacks, whatever it was, but somehow having a big ass something, I just thought, oh my gosh, people are going to look at me and say, wow, look at her. So I was overly concerned about the way it looked to be overweight and eating a large amount of food, which is just insanity, because I just was taking care of myself. And I think I mentioned this a long time ago when it happened. Another flight I took, this young gal next to me had a thermos, and mid-flight she took out like a humongous cheeseburger out of this thermos and just started eating it. And I'm like trying not to, I have my broccoli and my stuff here, and I thought, it just made me laugh, because she didn't care. She needed her cheeseburger, and I'm like, and I'm not going to care that I need my broccoli and my food. So flying, and I learned right away to, like the third trip, not to think that I could land when I thought I was going to land and then go shopping and then make dinner, like if I were getting in around 3 or 4, because flights get delayed. It takes a long time to get out of the airport. You get to the store, you get back, and it's like 9 o'clock and you're making your dinner. So I always bring my 2 meals, 2 or 3, depending on what I need for the day, so that I'm set no matter what. And I do that by packing a carry-on bag with and you can bring frozen water bottles, like a regular, it's got to be solid, not liquid. They let you bring that on the plane, so it keeps one frozen water bottle, keeps your food pretty cold. So planes was new to me, and now it's just it's just part of what I do. It's easy. Business was kind of difficult, because the one business trip I took with my group, I was able to pick the restaurants because I am the assistant, so I made those arrangements. And I thought where I picked, I could get things that could go on my plan, but I wasn't 100%, so I had backups in my room. I had rice cakes, I had protein, I had edamame, I had mini carrots and things like that in my little fridge. And I ended up going to a restaurant that was basically just all bar food, and so when I ordered the roasted vegetables, because I thought, well, I'll use my oil allowance for that, I got like 4 chunks of roasted vegetables, and I asked for more, and I got like 4 more, which probably, it was just such a tiny amount. I was sort of like, but I just waited. I ate my protein, my salmon, and I waited, and then I went and had, within, probably an hour, I had my grain. So it worked out, but it was a little more challenging to go to a restaurant. And so in hindsight, if you can pick the restaurant, finding one that actually has, like a salad situation, I think would be something you could, probably easily do. But I know, like early on, Chris, you had mentioned, that sweet potato fries incident at the only thing you could find at a restaurant, the one you went to, and I just categorize that right away, like just be prepared. So that's why I had that stuff. If you hadn't said that, I probably would have been up a creek without a paddle for that meal, but I had stuff in my room, so I was prepared for, not knowing. So just even just listening to what people say in these meetings, like just gives you the ideas and really helps. The other thing about traveling, I did take that epic road trip to take Sunshine the Bird to Florida with my girlfriend, and I ended up packing a large cooler and donating the cooler when I got to Florida because I was flying home, and just buying what I needed along the way, a la Lulu style. Like I need to buy my vegetables and buy my foods as we go. I ended up buying things because I didn't have, other than a microwave in motels, I didn't have a Instant Pot or anything, but I ended up buying hummus and lots of fresh veggies. Like, you can buy a bag of broccoli and carrots and cauliflower ready to eat, and using that and measuring my hummus for on the road. And so I just kind of made the discovery early on that where there's a will, there's a way, and you'd never have to be caught. Just like in the days when I didn't eat this way, if I wanted something, I would go out of my way to go find what it was I wanted. If that meant going to the gas station and buying things, and you can buy cheese, you can buy mozzarella cheese sticks, you can make it work wherever you are, I think. So it's just the mindset, but being prepared and bringing it yourself just is the best. And then traveling, like if I go anywhere, and I consider traveling like if I'm not going to be home when it's mealtime, I bring my cooler bag and my food. So like this past weekend, I went up north for one day, and I had my breakfast at home, and I had my lunch and my dinner packed because we're going to be gone all day. And everyone too in my family is just used to it, like there she is with her bag of food. And they know I'm not eating anything there, and I'm bringing food to contribute, to the meal, but that's not my food either. And so it just feels really good, like to just not sweat it. Like I don't even think about it. Like I just know what I got to do to eat the next day and get it prepared and ready to go. And I would have to say, I'll just say the joy from serving yourself well, that line really comes into this because it's such a great thing. Like I never think anything like, oh no, what am I going to, I know what I'm going to do, and so it's just taking that time to care for yourself that way. So those are kind of the ways I travel. And, I travel to work once a week. I bring my lunch that day too. I get my breakfast ready to go in case I need to eat it in the car or right when I get to work. So I just prepare and think ahead. And one thing I just want to say about Janet, if you don't mind, Janet in Florida, because she had hit me up for some tips, and I love sharing these tips because you were going to take a trip, Janet, and go on the plane, and you were going to bring one meal, and I was like, by the way, you might want to bring two because guess what happens? Your plane is late, it takes forever to get your car or whatever, and it just can kind of save you like the aggravation of being really hungry and thinking, oh man. So sharing the tips is super fun, and I've even take pictures of my food bag with my thing all packed, like, here, this is what I did. But it just helps you kind of get your chops a little bit, like, here's how I do it. And yeah, Lulu, you're a great example for bringing a cooler with what you need, right? So just the example of seeing it just makes it like, oh yeah, I could do that. I could pack everything I need and then I'll be set. So I love the visuals too, as silly as they might seem. You might just say, oh, put your thing in a cooler. But if you take a picture of it and put it on the Facebook page, it helps people go, I can do that. So yeah, those are my travel tips. I think the only once in a great while, I have to adjust my eating time because maybe we're in the middle of something, and I'm working to try to just eat whenever I'm supposed to eat, if at all possible, instead of pushing it a little bit or waiting. Not that I can't do it, but I'm like, it's kind of important for me to excuse myself and eat when I'm supposed to eat. Or if everyone, like this past Saturday up north, everyone was eating their dinner at like 4:45. And I thought, well, I could eat my dinner now, but then I'm going to be I usually eat it later, 6:30 or, and I thought, I'm just going to wait. I can wait. There's no reason I have to eat when they're all eating. I can visit when they're eating. And then when it's time for me to eat, I can eat while they're visiting, those kinds of things. So that's the other little thing. And the good thing about traveling on a plane, just knowing when you're going to be in the air and eating when you're supposed to eat, to take good care of yourself so that it's spaced out. So yeah, those are my tips. So I'm excited to hear what other people's tips are. Yep, and how they're doing it. Yeah,
very good tips. Yeah, I have a cooler bag too that I take, like, when I go to someone's house. It's like it's the bag from my it has the name of the law firm that I worked at for 20 years. We got them as a gift once, and I still have that same bag, and I put my meal in it, put a cooler block in it, and zip it up, and I just take that wherever I go, whenever I'm going someplace. And there's, like you said, there's either one meal or two meals in it, depending on how long. And sometimes I come home with that second meal, but I had it with me. Yeah. And it's not, if you've never done this before, and you just imagine like what people are going to say, what people are going to think, and it sounds like a pain in the ass and blah, blah, blah. Just know that in no time, it will become absolutely nothing to you. It's just becomes the way it goes. It's just the way it goes. That's it. This is what I do, and you can just stand tall and proud in that, and just feel really good about that. You're not up in the air on the airplane eating bags of chips and peanuts and all that junk they give you, And although broccoli on a plane, I might not do that. Isn't that a little stinky?
Well, it was cold. It was cooked and then
cold.
It was cold.
Okay.
I thought the same thing until the cheeseburger came out. Then I'm like, all bets are off, because that was a stinky old cheeseburger,
That's funny.
But yeah, it was cold. I wouldn't probably do hot broccoli. But, yep. And yeah, I think you're exactly right. It just becomes like, before it was like this big thing in my mind, like, oh, I've got to do this, and who's looking at me now? It's like, ugh, I don't even.
Yeah. And what about like when you're taking young children on a plane, when back when the kids were little? Talk about torturing everybody around you. But you know something? I would take my kid and I'd say, you know something? They're going to be fussy, they're going to be loud, they're going to be obnoxious, they're going to be hard to contain for all this time. And I've dealt with other people's kids. It's just they're all doing the best they can to keep the kid, entertained and everything. And that's what I did. And I couldn't worry about what everyone else thought, because it's like, this is just a little 2-year-old on a plane, or a 3-year-old that you're trying to like entertain for hours, And so it's like, we don't have to be really worrying about what people think all the time,
Yeah, and I get comments, some teasing, some like, holy moly, that's a lot of vegetables. And same thing, I just like, yep, I know. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Or when I visit my friends in California, her husband will say like, here she comes to load up our fridge, you know what I mean? Because it's like, yeah, I'm packing everything in there.
Yeah.
So you just take the teasing or the comments, people just, they get used to it. And yeah, it's just a beautiful way to take care of yourself. And people start to realize that's what you're going to do every single time.
Yes. And then they kind of appreciate it, because you're really no work at all.
Right.
It's like, I'm the easiest guest to have. I don't need a guest room. I don't need your kitchen. I don't need anything. I just but yeah.
Yeah, so okay, let's hear from Sherry.
Hey, Sherry.
Hi, Lulu. Hi, Nicole. Everybody. I have a few things. I'll try to make it as short as possible. But I have a funny story. I had my sister lives a little over an hour away. So have this day, I'm going over to her house to do all these things, and I have many things on my mind, and I'm putting the things in my car, and I left without my food. And we're supposed to be eating lunch together. She knows I'm going to bring my own food. And my mother was there anyway. So you know what I did? I stopped, and she lives in this very tiny town. So I stopped, I found the grocery store, which is small and limited, and I found a bag of what do they call baby carrots, 16 ounces. It says on the bag.
There you go.
And then I got hummus and oil. And I sat there at my sister's and they didn't believe I was going to eat that whole bag of carrots. I said, "Oh, I'm going to eat it." So I probably turned orange.
Your jaw must have been tired from chewing those.
And it took forever.
Yeah.
It took me the longest time to eat it. But that was my funny story. I mean, it's something we laugh about now and then, it's my bag of carrots.
Yeah.
But then I did go to, on a business trip to New Orleans. And the only thing I just like Nicole, I just kind of brought it all with me and figured it out before I went. I put it in Ziploc bags instead of in my regular lunch bag with a container. And what I did was I used my Vidalia, if anybody knows what a Vidalia is, and chop up all those veggies, dice them, and I intentionally included things that are kind of heavy, like cherry tomatoes and avocado and what's the other one that was heavy that I was putting in there? And so, it wasn't as big a quantity. And then I had the rice cracker or stackers and hummus. And I had it all measured out and everything before and took it in my carry-on. And it just worked, Yeah. It just worked. It was fine. Before I went on the plane, after we got through security, before we got on the plane, I actually took it out of the carry-on and carried it in my bag with me, and put the carry-on up above, and I had my food on my lap. So it just worked out.
Yeah.
And then when I got there, I just went straight to a grocery store. I had found it on Google Maps or something before we even left, the closest grocery store to the hotel. And then I just Ubered over to the grocery store and got all of my groceries and stocked up and brought them to the hotel room. And it was great. We were there for, I think, 9 days. It just worked out. Everything was, they knew me by name at the grocery store by the time I left. It was really fun. And then the third thing I wanted to tell you about was my sister, can no longer fly. And she lives, like I say, about an hour away. We wanted to go visit my mom, who can also not fly and travel. So she's always come to visit us, come north in the summer when it gets hot down there in California. And since she can't, we said, let's go down there and see her. And we rented a van. We're going to do van life for the first time.
How about that?
My sister and I. And yeah, I emailed you, Lulu. I was so excited about it. I said, I'm going on my first van trip. We're going to rent a van, my sister and I, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Well, yeah. So we, but it had a little refrigerator, and that was easy as far as my food, just stocked up, and I would never do it again. It turned out to be just, we had a Mercedes Sprinter van, and it has auto sensory things that if it spots anything a vehicle to your side or in front of you or behind you, it pulls you. And so we were constantly being pulled all over. It just was scary. I was white knuckling all the way, for 2 days driving down there and back. But so I wouldn't do it again, but I would try another van. I mean, now I know that I would not want to buy. I have not bought my van yet. I know I want to, and I want to build it out. Just like you, Lulu, I think I said this before. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to do what you do.
I'm so glad it worked for you, Sherry. Great ideas. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for sharing those. Next, we have April.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi.
I've got a couple tips. I've done some very long travel. Well, it might be considered long travel, like 12 hours myself driving. And so to get to my family, I'm in a van, I'm driving for hours and hours. And that's all travel time, not, like I'm only stopping to get gas and use the restroom. So, but I'm lucky to have a van that has a drawer refrigerator so I can carry my stuff in that. But I prepare things ahead of time so that I can eat while I'm driving. And my question is anybody, I mean, maybe it's dangerous to eat while you're driving, but I just have a little bit of a challenge of like not getting it on me, while I'm driving. So if anybody has any tips, I mean, I've never worn a bib or anything, but I just feel like my last day of vacation before I head back to Maine, I just, prepare multiple meals because I need lunch and dinner, prepared. And then other trips that I've taken, I just am always having a lot of cut up vegetables. And then I will complement that with like a large salad that I'll buy at a place. And that's worked really well for me. It's always good to have plan A, plan B, and then, just execute it as you go along. And I was just curious, Lulu, how did your weigh-in go? I missed last week.
Oh, you didn't listen to the recording?
I didn't see it yet. How did your weigh-in go with your new scale and all that?
Oh, it worked.
It works? Okay.
It worked. Yep. You'll have to listen to the recording to hear my story because it's kind of a funny story. And it's at the very beginning. You don't have to watch the whole hour and a half. It's at the very beginning. My story about the scale in my van.
Okay. And then one funny thing happened last Sunday. I got together with a group that we meet after church, and they've been sharing food. And I had told them the first week, I said, I'll bring something to help you with your food, but I said I'll bring my own food. And I'd been away on vacation and they hadn't mentioned what I needed to bring. So I brought like my entire lunch, my salad. And nobody brought any food. There was only 2 other people there. And I just said, you guys didn't bring food? And they're like, no. And I said, well, I don't feel comfortable eating in front of you. And they were like, well, we don't care. So I start putting my salad together, and I have that big bowl that Barb shared with that, the big metal bowl that's, I don't know how many ounces. So I start putting in, I've got everything pre-weighed. I'm dumping it in the bowl, and I'm putting it all together. And one of the people that was at the meeting's like, do you want me to get you a bigger bowl? They were just like, are you going to keep adding to? But anyways, it was a little uncomfortable, but I was starving. So
yeah, no, you can't share. I can't share. I don't share.
Well, no, that wasn't even
That's not an option.
Didn't even get asked.
Yeah. Even though it looks like, when you're done with it, it looks like something that belongs in the middle of the table for everybody to share. That's not what it is.
Right. But I found that sort of funny. But it's like you do what you're comfortable, with. But that's about all I've got.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, April.
Thank you.
Next, we have the other Nicole.
Hi, the other Nicole.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
So I just got back, it feels like a month ago, but it was just over a week ago, from Alaska. I drove from Oregon all the way up to the Arctic Ocean and back, about 8,300 miles. I was very worried about how I was going to do this. So I've only been doing it since April. And I had bought a little fridge, kind of like Lulu has, a little bit bigger. And so I knew I had that. But then my husband decided to start eating like this too. So I went from 2 pounds of vegetables to 4 pounds of vegetables. I mean, 4 pounds of vegetables every day for us to eat. And it ended up working fine. I actually took too much food. I know, Lulu, you have said, let the grocery store be your pantry. And I was so remote in some of these places that I was worried about having access to a grocery store. Well, as it turned out, I mean, the longest I probably went without really access to a grocery store was like 2 days. No, 4 days was the longest.
So that whole highway that's going up through the Alcan highway there, is that what it is that you went up?
Yeah.
For days and days. There are grocery stores around there?
Yeah, there's little towns all along. Where I was the most remote was going to the Arctic. So from Fairbanks north. So that was about 4 days, 2 days up, 2 days down. And so that was really the only place where I really needed. So, I mean, I came home with food that I had brought with me, like some canned stuff and whatever. So I took too much. So I guess that's my advice is do listen to Lulu. She knows what she's talking about. Yeah. Even in Alaska where it's remote, you can, man. So we stocked up in Fairbanks before we headed north. And we also, now we weren't someplace where it was really warm at the time. It's actually been quite warm up there recently, but what we ended up doing, like we got a bunch of vegetables at Costco in Fairbanks, and I wrapped them in my down blanket because I was like, I don't have any place to put them. I didn't have time to cook them right then. Even if they were cooked, I didn't have room for them in my fridge because it's not very big. And I was just like, I'm just going to hope for the best. And then like in the evening, cook what I can. And it totally worked. Yeah. So I was like, if I hadn't been car camping in a Subaru Forester, I would have taken a separate, like, just cooler that I could have put stuff like vegetables and stuff in. I didn't have the space for that. So, so needs must, ended up wrapping things in the down blanket to try and just keep them insulated. Totally worked.
Yeah. Wow.
Kept everything fine. I mean, I didn't put any like meat in there. It was just the vegetables. And then the other thing, and the last week on my way home, I got really sick. I had a fever. I had my son with me. He can't drive. So it went out the window. I got to the point where I was like, there's a Dairy Queen, we're stopping there. Like, I was so sick. I couldn't cook. I couldn't do, like, that part was not good. So I am in the process of trying to get myself going again. And it's just so annoying that if you get off the wagon, even because I couldn't really help it, it's so hard to get back on.
You're struggling to get back on, Nicole?
Yes, I'm really struggling.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
It's so annoying. I'm just like, I'm so annoyed with everything. But I'm also like, so I'm like a week and a half into being home and I'm just so unmotivated. And so I don't know if it's partially like it took me a while to get over being sick and then being home and I'm just like, I have been cooking my vegetables and like prepping. That's about the only thing I can get myself to do, but I'm really only managing like one good meal a day and then just some random stuff. So I'm working on that part.
Okay.
But the last thing I wanted to say about traveling is, now not everywhere would be like Alaska, but I found some good souvenirs to get were spice mixes. And obviously you have to watch for sugar. It's just dumb, the things that sugar is in. But I found some, like, I bought, I think like 4 or 5 different spice mixes that were like Alaska blends or that were, so that was kind of a fun thing to bring home. Oh, and I bought more than that. I bought like sea salt. So they're like different kinds of sea salt that are collected from up there in different spots. So that was kind of a fun thing to look for, that I would recommend anywhere you go. They might have something that's kind of local to that area and makes a good souvenir to bring home.
So can I just ask you something, Nicole?
Yeah.
Like, if you had to do where you're struggling to get back on, because that's totally normal. That's why I don't want one bite off of this plan, because I don't know where that's going to go, but I'd like to consider how you could have made it work. Like in hindsight, I know you were sick, but however, like when you were like, let's go to Dairy Queen, it could have been, could have been somewhere else. Because there was
Yeah, so
there was a traveling involved to Dairy Queen, or there's traveling involved to a grocery store, and I know the effort would be horrendous if you don't feel good.
yeah, I mean, I had like 101 fever,
Yeah,
and
no, I understand.
trying to get us home.
I don't know what I don't know.
Part of the problem is just there aren't, where I was at that point, there were not really grocery stores. There were convenience stores. There were like maybe a small grocery store once in a while, but I was too sick to cook anything.
Right.
So
are you saying that if you had to do it all over again, with that risk of not getting it back and feeling the way that you're feeling about how annoying it is that you can't get it back, can you think of a way that you could have worked it? Because I know if I was there, I would have worked it. I don't know how, but I think I would have not eaten anything. I think I would have starved the flu.
I think
I'd be petrified of going back.
I think had I not had my son with me, I would have just hunkered down and done my best and not tried to travel.
Yeah.
While sick. I had him with me, and I kind of got illogical, and I was like, I just want to be home. Like, I feel like crap.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be hanging out doing nothing while I feel like crap.
Right.
Like, I think I got kind of illogical
Yeah.
about it. And like, I just want to be home.
So the answer was don't travel with the sun.
I mean, kinda.
Because you could have just hunkered down in a Walmart parking lot, and you could have just, every time you needed something to eat, you could have went in there and got something.
I ended up having to get a hotel room. I was coughing so hard, and I can't sit up because I'm in the back of a Subaru Forester, and it's on the platform.
Yeah.
I can't sit up. And so I ended up getting a hotel room.
Yeah.
But I think, knowing what I know now, I think that, I mean, I didn't even want to get my stove out. I felt so crappy. But knowing what I know now, I think I would make the effort of having some sort of canned food, even if it was like a soup that wasn't necessarily the quantity that I would need.
But it was all the right ingredients. Like, no.
But it was all the right ingredients.
Yeah. Okay.
All you have to do is open it up, stick it in a microwave, and heat it up, kind of a thing.
There was no sugar in it, and there was no anything that's off plan was in it. Like if there were noodles in it, you wouldn't have the noodles. You'd get a different kind of soup.
Right. You can get, just a vegetable soup or a vegetable lentil soup or something.
Right.
And so I think, in retrospect, that any trip I do in the future, that especially if it's going to be remote like that, I would take like 4 cans of soup, just shove them away somewhere.
And you don't even have to heat it. You could just open the can and eat
That's
it.
True.
That's true. If you're hungry, you're hungry, So
yeah, I definitely think now that there's things I could have done.
Yeah.
But in the moment, without ever I've never been traveling and gotten sick like that before.
Yeah.
Not to that extent. Right. So I was just.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, because I just thought it would be like important for everybody else to hear too, like to say like what could you have done different now that you're not in that situation, because like
and being so remote, that was part of the problem. Is just if I'm closer to a city or even closer to a larger town, there's going to be options that you can just quickly get that are going to be healthier, and this just was like that was the hard part.
I think because last year I considered Alaska. I considered a trip to Alaska, and I just wasn't certain enough about that big long.
It's doable, and it's the most incredible place to drive to. So I highly recommend it, and it's very doable. But don't get sick. that's
and I just need my food. I just need to know that I'm not going to get stuck with just a little.
And like I said, I wasn't stuck without it. I just felt like I couldn't even go into a grocery store. I couldn't get my stove out. I couldn't, I couldn't do those things.
Yeah.
But I never felt like I was running low on what I needed.
Yeah.
I was able to get what I needed.
Because you could have got cans of beans, cans of tuna fish, cans of salmon,
Which I did.
cans of artichoke hearts, cans of green beans, cans of beets.
Yeah.
Tomatoes, they don't need to be in the fridge. You could have piles of tomatoes and eat those for days too.
Yeah.
You know?
So yeah, it's very doable. I just it was
You
once
just weren't prepared. You weren't prepared for
I
that.
wasn't prepared, and I just kind of got illogical.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah. Okay.
it's like a fever delirium or something. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad that even though you're struggling to get back on, I'm glad that you're still showing up.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're still showing up.
So yeah,
Just keep showing
it's
up.
not worth it. Not worth it to get off track, even when you're traveling,
Right.
because it is hard.
It's hard to get back. Yeah. I just the thought of not getting this back, if I just decide to do one thing a little off, it just can't happen. It can't happen. So I just protect it. I'm just like, that's why I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to pass on international travel. I think I'm going to pass on Alaska for now anyway, until I, maybe even gather more information about how that can work.
I refuse to give up.
Yeah.
And I know I'll get back there. I've been feeling too good and to give up completely, but yeah.
How about if you get 100% tomorrow? Just tomorrow.
Okay. I can do that. Yep.
Will you email me and let me know that you did that?
I will.
You will? Just say, I had a 100% day. Then the next day, eat what you want. But just get one day.
Yeah. I'll do it.
And then I bet you go for 2.
Well, that's how I started. I said, I'll give myself a week. I can do anything for a week.
Yeah.
And then I felt too good to stop.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Let's try one day.
Okay.
Email me and let me know how it goes. I bet you'll feel really good that you're doing it for 3 meals,
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. Thanks, Nicole.
And Nicole, and hearing your experience too, I was just thinking, even though it's not healthy food, I think it's a better plan, to just like your kids, your husband, they can eat whatever they want. Do you know what I mean? They can go to Dairy Queen and get the food, but mama should take care of herself. You know what I mean? Even if that means making them help figure out what you can eat. You know what I mean? Just saying, I really need broth or whatever. Maybe something like that, because I think I agree with Lulu. Like, I guess I would say I'm afraid. I'm afraid if I gave myself an inch, I would struggle to get back. And I can't ever do that again. I don't want to do that again, because whenever I've let myself down in the past, it sometimes has been years before I ever get it back again. And I don't want to do that, but I would just encourage you, whatever it takes, right? Because even if it means doing something a little weird and you're not feeling well, like asking your family to get you what you need or get through it, so I feel for you that you're struggling now too. I don't want to do that myself. So I hope you do just get right back on now and reach out for the support you need, because
the good news is I didn't go down the sugar route. So I did, we stopped at Dairy Queen, but I didn't get any of the there may have been sugar in something I ate, but there was no ice cream. There was no pop. There was no, I didn't let myself go that far.
Yeah.
So I was glad about that.
Yep.
Well,
thanks for sharing it all with us. And
yes, thanks for sharing it with us.
Yep. Okay, next we have Janet.
That's hard to follow that, Nicole. All I can say is I'm going to send you some good energy, because that place is a bad place where you are now. And I think Lulu's plan of just go a day is a good comeback. Other Nicole, thanks for the call out. You really helped me on that New Orleans trip. And that trip, I viewed as kind of an experiment. I planned the trip when I wasn't really following the plan. And of course, New Orleans, the food bowl, of America. So it was a good experiment for me, because if I could survive New Orleans, I feel like I could survive anywhere I want to go. It really helped me. But a couple things, I just made a couple notes about things I thought would be worth sharing. The grocery store search ahead was really helped me. I looked for grocery stores, and I've traveled a few other times since then. And I tell you what happened to me is I kind of enjoyed the grocery store. What I found in New Orleans had a lot of character. It was the town place. It was where the town people went and picked up their lunch or bought their groceries. So the grocery store itself was kind of fun and part of the trip, and made it like interesting, not just plus the way to get my food. So, and knowing ahead, like the next trip I took, what I learned from New Orleans was find a grocery store convenient. So the next trip I took, I found a hotel that was close to the grocery store rather than find the hotel and then find the grocery store. I did it the other way. And that made that a little bit easier. The plan for the unexpected. Oh my goodness, Lulu and Nicole, that is the best advice ever. Because life never goes as we think it will. And especially with traveling. I hit storms coming home or something, and I got home so late, and I was so darn glad I had that extra meal packed up that I really didn't think I'd need, because it really saved me from feeling desperate about food. The other thing that I did and will continue to do is I have like a little pack of travel food, like I found those peanut butters that are no sugar, that are in the single packets, an ounce each. And I have that, I have the rice cakes, I have some raisins, I have stuff like that I can make some meals with if I have to. And if I don't have to, I can bring it back home. I don't have to eat that food, but it is a backup on plan. And when I got back from my trips, I just put it up on my shelf to do it again. Just it's all kind of ready. I might add some things to it, but it's kind of ready to go, those kind of foods. So the plan for the unexpected, because there is always unexpected. The people for me is, I happen to have traveled with either by myself or with people who I know I could do what I wanted to and feel comfortable with that. But there are people in my life that I would be uncomfortable traveling to and being on this plan. So I'm at that juncture in following the plan that is this. I'm starting to weed out those people who are my food people. There are people in my life that were the people that wanted to go out and eat the foods that I don't want to eat anymore. And I'm not saying I give up on those people altogether, but I don't want my relationship with my people, my relationships to be around food. So if people are those kind of people in my life, I just can't go visit them right now. I'm talking about people in other states. I just can't go see them right now. That's not what I want the relationship to be. And if I don't feel comfortable about it, or if I feel like they're going to rag me about it, to the point of I'm feeling defensive or whatever all that is about, I don't need to go visit those people right now. And I don't mean that nasty or I don't care about them, but I'm just at that juncture where there are people that were all about food and I'm not now. So I might have to choose some different way I do friendship with people, Timing of meals is something I need to work on, especially traveling, because I got bunched up on my timing where I'm trying to be relaxed and loose and in that travel mode. And I got bunched up where I ate too late or I ate too early and then I was starved and, all that stuff. So one of the things that I will work on going forward is to try to at least have a window of time where I'm going to eat within this window to try to balance out my day a little bit better. That I need to work on. The other thing that helps me and helps me all the time, but especially with traveling, is I notice things that are what I call old food memories. So I'm traveling and I want an ice cream cone. I'm at the beach, I'm traveling at the beach and I want an ice cream cone. I remind myself that's an old memory. That's not today. That's not who you are today. So remember the time when you had that and it was your way. but that's not your way. So just see it as a food memory, but not a way of life now. And I've used that to distinguish when those things come up for me related to patterns of the past. It's kind of helped me because I realized, like, I don't really want ice cream. It's just a memory of a past experience where that came up for me. The other thing is, I practice traveling by my social encounters with people now. I practice, like if I went to lunch, I met somebody for lunch today. And we, were where you want to meet. And I said, what I would really love to do is meet you at your home and I'll bring my lunch. So that's what I did. And so, she fixed her lunch and I had my lunch. And when I went to leave, I said something like, hey, I really appreciate you being supportive about what I eat because that really matters to me. And she said, supportive, it made my life easier. You walked in, I didn't have to worry about you. I only had to worry about me, which I would anyway. So those are the people I want to be friends with and want to hang out with. But doing that helps me to practice for when I'm not at home. It's like it gets me in that mindset of when you're not home, how can you do it? And that just kind of gives me practice with that pattern of I can be away from home and I can still be on the planet. So I just kind of view that as a practice time. And I think the thing I want to end with is something, Nicole, that you said that I think is really a super, super important thing. And that is where there's a will, there's a way. I have to stop and remind myself that this is probably the most important thing I do every day. It's the best thing I can do for myself, for my health, for my longevity, for my quality of life. And if it's that important to me, I got to figure out, no different than when my car needs gas. I find a gas station. I got to find a way to make it work. So that just acknowledging it's important, that so much so that I got to figure out how to make it work. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm perfect because I have my struggles and my challenges, but I remind myself of where I'm headed. And it just helps me to be like, you're important enough to figure that out. You can be inconvenienced to be healthy. You can shift a pattern to be healthy. So I just remind myself of that a lot, especially when I'm challenged by it. So thanks for all your support because it helps.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you, Janet.
Yep. Thank you, Janet. All really good tips to hear from you.
Yes, very good. It is. It's the most important thing. It is. It's just, the quality of my health and the way I feel every day. Like, I don't know what this is about. I don't know if it's the food, it's the supplements, it's the exercise, or if it's none of that. I would have felt good anyway. I don't know, but I'm not eliminating anything because what I'm doing, I feel there's just doesn't feel like anything to improve. Like there's nothing to improve. It's like, how can you put a price tag on that, and how can you put anything before that? Because when you feel good, my God, everything just feels good. When you feel good, everything just feels good. Yeah, I'm not messing with it. And where there is a will, there's a way. Yep. Thank you.
Next, we have Helen.
Hi, Helen.
Hi. Wow, those are some really special shares already. I don't know if this is worthy, but anyway, my last trip, I had a 7.5 hour travel flights, which turned into about 15 hours. So I guess what I want to reemphasize is I did not bring enough food. I had one meal with me. And so I ended up, what I had to do for me is trying to find something at a restaurant, like in an airport, is next to impossible for me. I walk around, I look at them, and I'm just like lost. Like, nope, don't want that, don't want that. And it's just nothing looked like it would work for me. So what I learned is sometimes it's better just to go buy a bag of nuts or something very basic that is on plan, and it won't be maybe the quantity. And I always have my little scale with me. It's in my carry-on. And it held me over until I could get what I needed. But you can usually find something, even if it's just a nut, that will help stay on plan and get you through. So what I'm going to do when I have to go back is I'm going to have more than one meal with me and have a little bit extras. So that's very, very helpful. And I've done car trips, and I took a cooler, and I don't do complicated meals. My meals are very basic, so it's not too hard for me. I can do a saucepan on some meat, on some heat, and I can make everything I need. I can cook my potatoes, I can cook rice, I can do my veggies, I can do almost anything. I can even fry up chicken in it or whatever I choose. So I don't need much in order to stay on plan. And I guess that's a benefit to me, that I don't require a lot of variety in my meals. And I like my salad the best, but I also like a warm meal about once a day too. So I find that when in doubt, stick basic. If you can find I found a grocery where I am now that it's unlike anything I've ever seen. It's kind of like a Whole Foods, but not quite the Whole Foods prices. And it's mostly organic, and it just makes it so easy, because it's like, this is a Lulu's Way grocery. Everything is so fresh and good. So that's been very helpful too. And it's walkable, so that's great. And I was trying to think, like, what has helped me stay on plan while traveling? And I think a lot of it is just having those little backup foods if it's a car trip with me. And now I'm going to think more about those when I'm flying too, to have more than one meal with me, because there are always delays, it seems, anymore. And plan on that. Just plan for twice the travel time, and I'll be okay. And that's the other thing. Have a cup of tea and take a nap, and before you know it, you'll be where you're going if you're not the one driving. So I guess that's all I really had on this. I really appreciate everyone's shares. They're so helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's good that you learned. You learned from that trip. You just need to take more stuff with you. Yep.
Yeah.
And they have those. I was just thinking about something when you were talking about, like, just being prepared, having backup foods. A lot of people have been talking about backup foods, and a lot of things come in those pouches now. Like instead of like a can of chickpeas, there's it's like a zip bag, like a vacuum sealed bag of them. So those are good too, to have a protein. Also, I have a can of that I keep it for an emergency. I have a can of organic sweet potato puree in a can.
No.
Yeah, and I find that in the baking aisle. So like where they have like the baking, where they have like the cans of pumpkin to make like pumpkin pie, and the squash to make squash pies, and that's where I find it. If you go to the vegetable aisle, it's the canned yams that are all with sugar, tons of sugar in them. But the organic, and it just has one ingredient in it, it's just sweet potato, and I find it near the in the baking aisle. So that's a good backup. And I've had that can for a while now. I haven't opened it because I always have the fresh, but I have that just in case,
That sounds like a really good thing if you're not feeling well.
Yeah.
That would go down real easy.
Yeah, and you just open it up, and it's good. Put some cinnamon on it if you wanted. Have it for breakfast. That would be a breakfast with nuts and fruit on it. So and then they also have those pouches of rice all cooked. They have those too, and you could just eat it. You don't even have to heat it, really. You don't have to heat this stuff. I mean, you can, but you don't have to. But
Like the seeds of change ones, kind of.
yeah, you just got to watch your ingredients, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the tricky thing is the veggies, you know. But I always say, like, tomatoes are a good one because they can just sit on the counter for days and they don't need to be refrigerated. And 16 ounces of diced up tomatoes with salt and pepper and olive oil on them are delicious, you know. And also, the only vegetables that I enjoy out of the can are artichoke hearts of palm, and beets. Everything else in a can I have found kind of offensive. I don't know if anybody else has found anything that's good from a can. Let me know. But the artichoke hearts work really well, and the hearts of palm and beets, that's what I like. I don't know, does anybody else have, you can put it in the chat if you have any suggestions on canned or any veggies that, you know, that don't require refrigeration, that just to have on hand like that. So anyway, thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Helen. Next we have Kathleen.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hi, everybody.
Good to see you.
It's good to see everybody. Such a nice group. And I appreciate everyone's comments. And I just wanted to say, Janet, that was really, really good thoughts. And I really appreciate Nicole P. telling your struggles. That's good. That's why we're here. It's a good reminder. And Nicole, I really liked your point, you know, when you were talking to the other Nicole there, and you reminded her without judging that we can ask for help when we're sick. And being a mother and being the caretaker, I've had to learn that they're not going to starve, but I might not be able to function for the rest of my life and take care of them if I don't get what I need right now. It's that serious. Ask for help. And as your family sees how well you're doing and how important it is to you, they will step up. But that's a very, very hard lesson to learn. And I totally get it when you've got, you know, your son with you and what you're going to do. Like, no judgment at all. But I just want to say that as you go along in this journey, I think that is something that you can look forward to. I have had to do that a few times, and it was new to me to just back up and say, no, I'm the one that needs help right now. And I just had the sweetest experience recently. I've talked before about how I am a caregiver, and I am sometimes put in unexpected situations or long days where I've had to go to the emergency room with one of my clients. And I recently had that happen. And I got a text from my daughter that said, "Do you need me to bring you some food?"
Oh, how sweet is that?
I mean, really.
They know. They know what
That's
it
what
means
I'm
to you.
talking about. Yeah. How they see how important it is to you, and how they never ever want you to lose that.
Oh.
She knows what I was. She doesn't want to see me go back there. And I thought that was just the sweetest thing, that she called and asked if I needed food.
Yeah.
So that I just noticed how that's changed over time for me. That I can go back and just say that I need help and I need support, and my family will step up for me.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. And so I've talked before about having food for my unexpected days. Sometimes it works out that way. So yes, I pack a cooler every morning the night before. I know what I'm going to put in it if I'm heading out to work. And it may be, and I have lots of ice in there because I'm in North Carolina, it can get hot. I may bring it home. I may not need it, but if it ends up being a 7, 8, 9 hour day, I've got food with me. And also the things that don't need refrigeration, like I always carry almonds and those foil pouches of tuna and things like that, or carrots, that they can be in the cooler for a longer day. So those are just some of the things. And I always, even if I'm just going to town, I pack some cooler. I mean, just in case something comes up, I do always have a little cooler with me, with like maybe what I'm going to have for lunch, or just some hummus and carrots in case things get a little chaotic or I can't keep up with my schedule. I don't want to ever put myself in a situation where I'm tempted to not eat on plan, because just hearing Nicole talk tonight was such a good reminder of how scary it is for us if we, go there. So my best wishes for you, Nicole, and I know you're going to do it tomorrow. You're going to have a great day, and we look forward to your success.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
That's
Kathleen.
my story.
Thank you, Kathleen. That was a beautiful story about your daughter. I love that. Yeah, what could be better than that? Just to be really dialed in to you like that, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
And also,
heartwarming.
Yeah. Also, I think it was Janet that just said in the chat, like, any canned vegetables are good if you're in a pinch. And that's really true. I mean, I should really have 5 or 6 cans of veggies in here that, even if I don't like them, just to have that so I can put 16 ounces together if I need to. Yeah. Because if it's mealtime and there's nothing and you're in a pinch, yeah, you're gonna eat the ones that are kind of lousy out of the can. But those other ones are good. I actually think they're good. Like, I get them on a regular basis, add them to things.
Yeah, I was gonna say I found some organic canned green beans that are just green beans and salt, and I have 6 cans in the basement, almost like ready for an emergency, like, if like there's how people preppers put stuff in the I just have my 6 cans of green beans because that will get me through 2 meals of 16 ounces.
Yeah.
And I don't like them, they're not my favorite, but it's in case the freezer's empty and gone or the power's out, I've got these cans with the pop off tops, so I'm ready to go. Yeah. Yep. That was beautiful. Thank you, Kathleen.
Yeah.
Next we have Ellen.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi, everybody. So tomorrow I'll be leaving on what we call Sisters Weekend. My sisters-in-law, we get together once a year. We try to. Now, I've missed twice, so I'm excited to go this time. And I told them right off the bat that I can drive or I can ride with someone, but that I will have a cooler with my food in it. And they're a little new to this. I think I've only been around them for a gathering only once, probably, while on this plan. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I think we will be eating out once, but I immediately offered to bring chickpea salad for everyone because that's something I make for myself, and I'll just make a different batch for them. And it'll be interesting to see how that goes. The other thing that came up was that a niece that lives in the town where we're going has offered to have dinner for us on Saturday night. So I will be messaging her mother, my sister-in-law, and just say, this is what's going to happen, and I will be coming in with my food, and let the chips fall, because I'm not going to be quizzing her about everything. Right. I'm just not going to go there. Yeah. I'm just going to bring my food in, and I think they'll be fine. It'll be interesting, but we always have so much fun that, they probably won't even notice. Yeah. It's a wonderful time. So I will be driving, so I can take as big a cooler as I want. And so what I'm doing is I will need lunch and dinner tomorrow, and then I'm packing all the meals for all the days, And if I have a meal or two left, that's okay. You know, if I can make it work at a restaurant, I will. If not, then I will just not eat with them. I will just wait and eat later. And I do have, I guess it's an Airbnb, so I can cook my oatmeal, because God forbid if I couldn't cook my oatmeal. But yeah, it's going to be interesting and it's going to be fun, but I am packing all my meals. And then I'm bringing extra, like, containers of veggies besides that. And I'm bringing extra rice cakes and things like that, you know, so I can just say, well, here, try it, you know, and yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm
How long of a drive is it? How far?
It'll be a 4-hour drive.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's
So
nice.
tomorrow I will need lunch and dinner, unless tomorrow night is the night we go out to the restaurant. Plans are a little bit up in the air until we all get together and decide what we're going to do, but it won't matter because I'm going to have a meal for each time with me ready to go, and besides extras in the cooler if I need it.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yeah.
You're prepared.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yep, you're prepared to be a success. I can feel it.
Yep.
Excellent. Thanks, Ellen.
Yeah, you bet.